is North here, and today we will be talking about adventures. Now, I think adventures are a really underrated part of Animal Jam. I mean, they're really cool, they're fun to play, and they're interesting, but everyone just says they're tedious. I personally do not find them tedious at all. I don't know where people get that. Well, I kind of do, but point is, I love adventures. So today, we'll be ranking every single Animal Jam adventure ever. This does include the 2 training adventures, the proving grounds and the training grounds, but it does not include seasonal adventures because those just don't count. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 21 is Return of the Phantoms. I just really found that there were no real stakes, or at least the stakes weren't well shown. It just kind of felt like, okay, like, plug in the corks, water the plants, free the bunnies, you know. Like, yeah, I guess you free some bunnies and you free their small little bunny burrow from phantoms, but in reality, the stakes are not that high and it just really does not seem that interesting. You do have to cut Animal Jam a little bit of slack on this one because it's like one of their first adventures ever. Number 20 is the Proving Grounds. Now, I don't really know how to say this, but the Proving Grounds just kind of suck. Like, they do get higher than Return of the Phantoms because it is kind of interesting to watch Greely being forced to teach us something and just like hating every second of it because, you know, it's Greely. Still, you're really just being taught how to jump, so it's not that interesting. Number 19 is the Training Grounds. Now, from my perspective, the Training Grounds are better than the Proving Grounds, because the Proving Grounds are basically just, here's how to jump. But with the Training Grounds, at the time that most of us play it, we are not aware of any of the lore of Animal Jam or any of, like, the story or anything. So we are sort of learning things, like, we're taking it in. What is a phantom? What is tall grass? And, like, the whole, like, OST of it, the entire music, which, yeah, is, like, 20 seconds long, but the music is still very conveying, and it fits the idea of Training Grounds very well. I mean, once again, there are still no stakes in the Training Grounds, but that's to be expected because the goal of the adventure isn't really to have high stakes, it's just to like train you. Number 18 is the Hive. The Hive is really just straightforward and plain. It's just really not interesting. Now, granted, it was a very important adventure in terms of the development of future adventures because it introduced so many important elements to adventures, like phantom bases, lava crystals, Greely, and fighting phantom kings. But the adventure itself was just really plain and boring. Coming up next, we have the Phantom Portal. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Phantom Portal, and I would introduce this sort of unique cave environment with like all these slides and ladders, which was really creative and unique. For one of the first adventures, it's really cool, but still, there are a lot of better adventures to come. Now our next adventure is Meet Cosmo. Again, with the stakes. The stakes are literally save 2 koalas. It ranks higher than the adventures before it because of all the unique aspects, like all the unique fruit you can collect, all this like pipe things where you like play the melody and everything, and you have to like get all these complicated remedies of like different ingredients in Cosmo's garden, all these different things, and it's really cool to get to see how these boom seeds are made, and it's just a really awesome thing that a lot of kids really love. But what really sets it apart from all the other adventures is not what you have to do, but what you can do. There are so many like optional things that you can do, so many plants to water, and yes, you do have to water some of the plants and plug in some of the pipes, but there is just so much optional stuff that you can do, and it is so much fun. I remember playing this adventure with my friend and just like running around for like 20 minutes trying to do all the extra stuff. It was so much fun. Oh, good times, guys. Good times. Next is Bubble Trouble. Now, Bubble Trouble is just a really unique adventure. The entire underwater atmosphere is just amazing and so well put together. It looks beautiful. It's just like this awesome aesthetic. I see so many people saying that the underwater lands are underrated, and they talk about, oh, like the aesthetic of the underwater lands is just so impressive and so beautiful. Bubble Trouble is like a giant adventure-themed version of that. The atmosphere of it is just so interesting to explore, and a lot of it is just aspects from on-land adventures being incorporated into the underwater, but it's still just so cool, and like if it were an on-land adventure, maybe it would feel kind of like a ripoff of like Return of the Phantoms or something like that, or just not entertaining. But the fact that it's underwater, it doesn't feel like a ripoff of any other adventure. It feels like its own thing. Number 14 is the Forgotten Desert. Now, I know that a lot of people probably consider this like their favorite adventure ever just because they get like rares from it and stuff, but in reality, when it comes to a scale of like all the adventures, this does not rank that high. Like, yeah, it's a cool adventure, but in reality, it's just become a place where all the like rare jammers go. I mean, yes, there is a lore reason as to why we're collecting these shards, as explained at the beginning of the adventure, but still, it scores like a 0 in terms of lore significance because there is no lore significance. Coming in at number 13, we have The River's Heart. Now, this adventure introduces a lot of really unique ideas, but after literally destroying the Phantom Fortress, it just seems a little small fries. I don't want to say there's no stakes, because I'm sure you guys are just so tired of hearing that. I'm just gonna say that the stakes are not very high compared to what we've already, experienced. If it had been released before storming the fortress, then it would be ranked differently. Next, we have In Too Deep, an adventure that was really kind of mysterious and cool, and you do a lot of it in the dark, which is honestly just really cool for an underwater adventure. And I loved seeing this huge whale at the beginning was just really interesting, and it's really cool at the end where you get to destroy these machines and everything. It's just really a cool approach overall. Plus, the whole idea with the currents was pretty interesting. But the beginning of the adventure was kind of a drag and just not really entertaining until later on in the adventure. I like the whale idea though, that was really cool. That was impressive. Number 11 is The Great Escape, because it's just really cool. It's this tower thing, and we have to go through all these different layers, and it's really cool at the beginning where you get to free the monkeys. And then we have every rare jammer's nightmare, which is just this. I swear, this makes me laugh so much. And it's really cool to have all these different things to connect, and all these different, it's almost like an obstacle course of different things that you can do on each layer of the tower until you get to the top where you get to do just straight up sky high. Plus, look at the surrounding at the beginning of the adventure. It really just looks awesome. Number 10 is The Search for Greely. This adventure was a really sort of unique landscape of this whole phantom vortex idea and this entire new world that we'd never seen before, and it was really cool. Plus, it was really interesting to go down all the different passages and see all these different phantom weapons all in one place, and having to defeat them all to free Greely was just really interesting. And the idea of Greely's journal entries and all the secret passages and everything like that was just really epic. The idea of turning into a phantom was something completely unheard of before this, and it was really awesome. Next is Turning the Tides. Turning the Tides was just a really good adventure. I mean, look at all this awesome scenery. You have these really cool sort of ruin-esque thing, and the ruins just look so awesome. This whole coral aesthetic and all these rocks are just beautiful. And you have all these cool keys that you can find. At the end of the adventure, it does get a little cheesy, where you're literally just swimming with dolphins and watching them destroy doors. And I mean, I personally think they could have found a more interesting way to have you free Tabby than literally just breaking boulders and just letting the bottlenose fight off all the phantoms. Why don't we fight off the phantoms? But before that point of the adventure, it was actually really good, and the whole current thing was actually amazing. We got to see a bit of that in Too Deep, but in Turning the Tides, they just went all out, and it was amazing. It was so cool. Coming up next is the Phantom Badlands, a really interesting adventure with this whole new 2D dynamic. And yeah, the landscape was kind of cheesy, but still pretty cool. And the notes that Peck left all throughout the adventure are just honestly epic. And the mirror shrine at the end was just really impressive. I do think it could have ended on more of a cliffhanger. I don't know, I just feel there was no real cliffhanger. I mean, there was, but it was just not a very good one. But other than that, it was a really good adventure. Next, we have Storming the Fortress, an adventure that was really cool and really big and just ginormously awesome. You got to destroy this fortress, you got to go on these different wings, get into all these phantom areas, and the adventure was just really cool. The one thing I disliked about it was it ended so happily, and there was nothing more to speculate except just kind of, yay, happy endings! And then the lore was just kind of all quiet for a really long time. And look at this. Look at this Phantom Fortress. It freaking looks like cake. Look at the leg of the Phantom Fortress here. Now look at this. This image right here just kind of lets you down as you see it, because it's so childish looking after this colossal thing right here. Number 6 is Greely's Inferno, possibly one of the most intense adventures in the entire game. In this adventure, Greely supposedly dies. I mean, yeah, in the end he doesn't die, but it's still really cool. I mean, the adventure is colossal, you do so much stuff, it's inside of a volcano. Even that on its own can give it a pretty high rating, but what really lands it this high on the list is the emotion and the intensity of the end of the adventure when Greely tells us to leave the volcano and has to sacrifice himself to save Jamal. coming in at number 5, we have the Trials of Zeus. This really cool sort of mystical adventure, which allows you to go through all these different like gateways, do all these different things that are really cool. You have like the 5 different qualities of an adventurer, and it's just so cool to have Zeus's voice like echoing through the cave. And Animal Jam does a fantastic job of making it seem both like this ancient archaeological ruin-esque thing, but also like this mystical, magical, incredible thing. And there's these like different trials that all give you like different vibes and like different music and everything like that. It's just so well put together. Number 4 is the Frontlines. Honestly, I just love the Frontlines. I don't know why, I just love it. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty short adventure, but it actually ends on a really good note. Like, it ends on this, like, sad, depressive, heartbreaking note, and that's why I love it so much. Like, you're working in this, like, phantom-polluted environment that just looks so sad, and then you see the Phantom Fortress in the distance. Honestly, that has got to be my favorite cliffhanger in all of the adventures ever. Now we have the Phantom Fortress. When I first played it, it was just so exciting and so mysterious and so cool. You get to like unfurl all these different banners and it seems all like battle-esque. And then you like infiltrate this giant, colossal fortress. Overall, the adventure is just really unique and special. Not gonna lie, it was a bit annoying when they used the adventure to tease the new animal, but I got over that very quickly since that wasn't the only thing that was accomplished in the adventure. And at the end of the adventure, we see Sir Gilbert and he's just like, we are coming back to end this once and for all. Guys, do I even need to explain to you how perfect that line is? Number 2 is the Hidden Falls. You guys all know the Hidden Falls. It is the best! Oh my gosh. Do I even need to explain it? It's so awesome. You get to go through this like cave of, look at this beautiful just aesthetic of like wandering caverns and this like beautiful hidden falls. And you get to like see all these different like caves and everything. And like the whole soundtrack of it really does fit the idea of the Hidden Falls very well. And it really just sort of fits this like adventure-esque vibe. And the ending is just spectacular. Honestly, there are so many things I could list about why this adventure is so amazing, but you guys already know. You guys already know why the Hidden Falls is so amazing, so I'm just gonna shut up. Alright guys, drum roll please, because it is time to announce the best adventure in all of Animal Jam. The Mystery Below. Honestly, I just love everything about this adventure. It's just so unique, and I just love seeing all these ancient notes from long ago. It's just amazing. The Lost City itself is just incredible. The music is breathtaking. As I'm sure many of you know, it's my outro music. It's just so big and beautiful, and there's so much to explore, yet what you're getting to see in the adventure is only a small snippet of what's really there. Honestly, I could go on forever about why I love this adventure so much, but I'm just gonna cut to the chase. It's just amazing. Anyway, with that, I guess that ends this video, which is getting pretty long, so yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and of course, stay clossum, possum, and fantastic. God, it's been a while since I've done that outro. Feels good. Okay, bye.